to infinity and beyond.
This is me. This is how I win.
Were you rushing or were you dragging? Answer!
You're a wizard, Harry.
Say what again? Say what again? I dare you.
No. I am your father.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
And here we go.
Welcome back inside the film room. It's Zach Goins here, but no Johnny Sobchak today. Johnny is away for the holidays, and that means that we have an incredible opportunity today to bring in the newest contributor to Inside the Film Room, an old friend, a legend in the world of pop culture fandoms. It's my good friend, my sister, Kylie Sheaffer. Kylie, my friend, how are you?
Hi, Zach, my friend. I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I'm so excited that you're here today to get on this podcast and that all of the Inside the Film Room listeners can learn how wise you are and how passionate about movies you are and just how funny and awesome you are. So I'm excited that you're here.
Wow, I didn't know that I was signing up for this lovely compliment train tonight. I'm so happy to be here.
It's basically a honey roast. We're just complimenting you the whole episode.
I mean, I am really so wise, so I'm excited to explore that.
Okay, so give the people a little rundown on who you are. For those of you who may not know, Kylie and I go way back. We went to high school together, have been friends ever since, but I don't want to steal your thunder in your introduction. So just let us know who you are, where you went to school, what you're doing now, all that good stuff to give the listeners some sort of idea about who Kylie Sheaffer is.
Oh, sure. Okay, so Zach and I, full disclosure, met. I actually think it was like honors chemistry. I think that's where we like really became friends. So yeah, we go all the way back. I went to the University of South Carolina, studied
the
theater.
Fake Carolina.
No, the good Carolina, the so nice, super fun go Gamecocks Carolina.
The non-drug ring Carolina, if you were following that news recently.
Yes, I was. Wow.
That's another discussion.
To my knowledge, 100% less drug rings at University of South Carolina. Yeah, I'm a writer. I'm in Brooklyn, New York. And I am obsessed with pop culture. Anything television and movies and music, I am there. They're like my favorite things to talk about. So I'm really happy to be here.
All right, this may be putting you on the spot, but if you're obsessed with movies and TV, give us a sampling of some favorite shows or favorite movies to get an idea of just like what genres, what you're into.
Sure. Okay. Well, I'm a sucker for any kind of coming of age. Anything coming
Classic.
of age, I'm like, yep, I'm there. That is my my go-to. So my favorite movies, I'd have to say, the way back. I'm obsessed with Sam Rockwell and everything that he does.
One of the few performances where he's not a racist.
Yeah. Ouch. Correct. Maya Rudolph too. She's incredible in that. I love About Time.
Good one.
I know. It's so good. Just about anything Rachel McAdams does. And I love Fargo.
A classic.
The go-to movies for sure. TV, Stranger Things. I'm obsessed with it. I will watch it over and over and over. I can't wait for the next season. Recently become obsessed with Money Heist. I'm obsessed with it. And I don't know, gotta say
Survivor.
Classic. Of course.
One of the few people who I talk Survivor with, so that's always nice to have you as a resource there.
Of course, I can't wait for when we're finally on Survivor together and we can form an alliance, pretend we don't know each other, and then eventually win the whole thing.
Exactly. That's the way to do it. Just have that secret alliance in your back pocket. But we are not here today to talk about your favorite movies or your favorite shows. We're here today to talk about the winner of our holiday movie madness bracket on social media. People have been voting for the last week or two. We had 32 fantastic Christmas movies that made the cut, and the winner of them all, to no one's surprise, to my delight, was Home Alone, an absolute masterclass in holiday filmmaking. So we're throwing it back. We're reviewing Home Alone today. And to get a little deeper into what we're talking about, these Christmas movies, it's the most wonderful time of year. We're going to be sharing our personal top 5 favorite Christmas movies as well. So Kylie, you were here for an excellent and festive episode. Perfect timing.
I love it. Bring on Christmas.
But another reason why you're here is because I had said it off the top that you're the most recent contributor to Inside the Film Room, the newest edition. You actually came to me a week ago, about maybe 2 weeks ago at this point, with an incredible idea. Like you said, you're a freelance writer in Brooklyn. So to have someone of that status reach out to us, it was incredible.
Sure.
But you pitched a great piece about Last Holiday and why it was just an absolute sin that it was omitted from the 32 movies in our bracket.
Exactly.
So
I'm sorry. It was an egregious error that Last Holiday was not included.
I don't want to spoil anything for something that may come up later in the episode or in your article, but if you're a fan of Queen Latifah, of Last Holiday, of incredible Christmas films, then go check that out on our website, insidefilmroom.com, because Kylie wrote that. She's going to be writing here and there when she can fit us into her busy New York schedule. But I'm sure we'll have more about Last Holiday later on in the episode. But as always, before we get into everything too deep here, a little discussion time, just some chit chat. So we usually, Kylie, at this point, we kind of talk about what's been going on in our lives in the last week, what we've watched maybe on TV or movies or just anything newsworthy. I know it's not usually, the listeners are usually like, oh, Johnny did this, Zach did that. I like to think at least that they're kind of following along. So they may not know you, but anything thrilling going on as you're getting ready for the holidays? You're back home from New York, from the Windy City, or from Sin City. So excited to
the clean, windy city of the U.S. That is New York. Woo! No, I am. I'm back in Charlotte. That's where my family lives. I road tripped down with my roommate, and so we're hanging out with the family. It's really, the past week was not super thrilling. It was a lot of quarantining and working and binging on all things Christmas movies. So this has probably been the most exciting part of the week.
That's such an honor. Wow.
I know. What about you? What have you been up to this week?
Well, my new job, like I had mentioned, I think in previous episodes, but I've been working this past week. I've had to work the 3 p.m. to midnight shift. So that's really cut into my it's been great, but it's really cut into my movie watching and TV watching time because, I'm not just like curling up under a blanket at night to watch a show or something now that I'm at my computer and working. But I have still been able to watch the season finale that came out on Friday of The Mandalorian. Are you a Mandalorian watcher?
Okay, don't kick me off the podcast, but
it's okay.
I've not seen it. I've actually never seen a single Star Wars movie, and
you were doing so well.
I know. I'm immediately, like, for many listeners, probably bashing my credibility into the ground. It's like the one series that I haven't seen, and I've always talked about with my friends, like, we're going to do this big Star Wars viewing, and I'm just going to watch all of them. It just hasn't happened yet. It's on the list.
If it hasn't happened in quarantine, I don't think it's ever going to happen, Kylie.
I'm still hopeful. I'm an optimist.
Well, I won't spoil anything then. You don't have anything to be ashamed of because the way Johnny watches things usually is like he'll let it all come out and then binge it. So I've had to be very like discreet. Every episode, I'm like, oh my gosh, can we please talk about? And it's like, no, I don't want to spoil anything for him. So I won't spoil anything for you either. But absolute like jaw dropper in the season finale there. Very excited to see what comes next. I know if you're listening and you want to discuss, because I need somebody to talk about it with, message me on Twitter, send me a DM, and let's talk Mandalorian. But other than that, haven't really had much going on. I'm getting ready to move, so that's taken up a lot of time on top of work. So just really busy time on top of like the already like busy time of the holidays. So
yeah. And I imagine packing is probably really cutting into that prime movie watching as well.
Of course, when I'm not working, I'm either sleeping or packing. So it's maybe like next week or the week after I can have some time. We've got Soul coming out on Christmas Day and Wonder Woman 1984. So spoiler alert, I've already seen Soul. Very good. We'll talk about it later, but very excited for Wonder Woman 1984. So hopefully I can find time to sit down and watch that on Christmas.
Good. I'm so excited about that. Oh my gosh, Wonder Woman forever.
Are you excited for Soul as well? Are you a Pixar fan?
Oh yeah. I mean, I have a heart. Of course I'm excited about the new Pixar movie. Really, Christmas Day is that's a blockbuster. That'll be good.
That is. I mean, I have friends who are, I think Jake, former co-host, has said that he is renting out his local Cinemark so that he can go see Wonder Woman 1984 in theaters. So that is commitment right there.
I'm honestly jealous. That's amazing. When I saw Wonder Woman in the theater, that first one, I just remember feeling like I could freaking go run a marathon. Like I wanted to climb a building myself.
I remember I watched it in theaters like when it was out, and I remember loving it, but I haven't watched it since then. So that's definitely something between now and Christmas. I know that's only like 5 days, but hopefully I can find time to get a refresher there, because I remember just absolutely loving it, and I'm super excited for this one. So we'll have to squeeze that in around work and moving and all that stuff.
Sure, you'll manage. You've got it.
We'll make it work, yeah. But I think it's time. I think the people are here. You're here for Home Alone. So shall we get into a little throwback review with Home Alone?
Let's.
Where are you going? We're gonna miss the plane!
When the McAllister family left on their Christmas vacation,
Did we miss the flight? No, you just made it. Yeah!
they forgot one small thing.
Have yourself
I've a terrible feeling. Did you lock up?
let yourself be light.
Do we set the timers on the lights?
What else could we be forgetting?
Our troubles will be ours.
Kevin!
Home Alone.
Police in the northern suburbs are on the lookout for a pair of burglars who are calling themselves the Wet Bandits.
We know that you're in there.
It's Santa Claus and his elf.
Get off my property.
This is my house. I have to defend it.
Where's your mother?
My mom's in the car.
Where's your father?
He's at work.
What about your brothers and sisters?
I'm an only child.
Where do you live?
Can't tell you that.
Why not?
Because you're a stranger.
He's a kid. I mean, what can a kid do to us?
Kids are stupid. I know I was.
You still are, Marv.
This is it.
I don't care if I have to get out on your runway and hitchhike. I am going to get home to my son.
All right. Let's set the scene here. 1990, November 16th. Director Chris Columbus. We don't want to associate him with the other one.
Yeah, please. Come on.
Chris Columbus drops what will become, according to the Inside the Film Room listeners and followers, the greatest holiday film of all time. Home Alone. 30th anniversary this year. Wow. I mean, I know we weren't even around back when it actually came out, but like, that's still it's kind of a big number.
Yes, and it's so weird to think about everyone in the movie being 30 years older than they were during that time. Like, I think of Kevin, and I think that he's permanently Kevin.
He's permanently 8 years old.
Yes.
Well, Macaulay Culkin's life has been significantly different since he was 8 years old.
True, probably.
But we don't need to dig into that, but I think this is just a little fun Easter egg. November 16th Chris Columbus has dropped 2 absolute heaters, because that is the same day that Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone came out.
No way.
So, I think that was 2001 maybe. So a little 11-year gap there. But Chris Columbus, I keep saying Christopher. Oh,
no, that
Chris Columbus, director of Harry Potter 1 and 2 as well. So shouts to him. I know Kylie is a huge Harry Potter fan like me. So real respect, real recognize, real.
And I would be a villain to pass this up, but November 16th is my sister's birthday. Special day.
Shouts to Sammy.
Shouts to Sammy.
Good friend of the pod. So Chris Columbus is the director. We already mentioned Macaulay Culkin. At 10 years old, Kevin is an 8-year-old. That's the character. Macaulay is 10 years old acting in this film, but more on that later about his masterclass. Joe Pesci, Daniel Stern, Catherine O'Hara. Those are the other big names here. Catherine O'Hara not in it as much as the other 3, but just a great movie. I mean, if you've been living under a rock and you don't know what Home Alone is, here's a semi-brief plot synopsis for you before we dive in. When bratty 8-year-old Kevin McAllister, played by Macaulay Culkin, acts out the night before a family trip to Paris, his mother, Catherine O'Hara, makes him sleep in the attic. After the McAllisters mistakenly leave for the airport without Kevin, he awakens to an empty house and assumes his wish to have no family has come true. But his excitement sours when he realizes that 2 con men, Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern, plan to rob the McAllister residence and that he alone must protect the family home. So, if you couldn't gather it, he's home alone, hence the title.
Wow.
But incredible. What a movie.
I love that the plot of it is actually, I mean, like, it's such a straightforward idea. Like, it's kind of really simple, but they turn it into something that is so, it feels like so fresh and it feels so fun to watch.
I think that's something that it's fresh no matter how many times you like revisit it.
Yes.
It's so rewatchable. That obviously that's why it's become such a staple in this holiday season of just like, it doesn't matter if you just watched it last Christmas or you watched it like, you're able to revisit it and it still feels so hilarious. Like it never gets old. Like I've watched this movie not at Christmas time and still loved it. It doesn't have the same special magic, but like it's just still absolutely hilarious and heartwarming, and it hits all the right places. But
yeah, it's like one of those things that if you're flipping through channels on TV and you see that it's on, like you get sucked into it kind of no matter what.
Yes, we talk about that a lot of just like movies that like if you see it on or you see a scene or something, it just like makes you want to continue to like watch it from there on out. And this is definitely one of those.
Yes, so many scenes in Home Alone. I feel like you could show them to anyone and they would be like, well, I'm intrigued at what happens next. I'm intrigued how we got to this point, So many scenes in Home Alone are like, I want to know a little bit more.
There are a lot of questionable scenes, so I'm with you there. But so Rotten Tomatoes, not really around back in 1990 when this came out, but it has a retroactive score, I guess, of those reviews. Critic score 66%, audience score 80%. Kylie, what is your critic score here?
My critic score, it was a little high compared to the 2. I put it at 85%.
That's not high. I'm a 95.
I mean, it feels like a near perfect movie.
Yes, this is not only an incredible like Christmas movie. I think this is a great movie. Like this is on I've been like slowly. I had this grand idea. I don't know if you know about the app Letterboxd, but it's basically like social media for movie nerds.
Nice.
And you can like log your movies and review them and keep track of everything and make lists. So like I started to make this list probably about a year ago, and I was going to make my 100 favorite movies, and I still have not like published the list because I haven't even hit 100 yet. But like Home Alone is on there. Like this is not just a Christmas movie. This is like an excellent movie all around, in my opinion. It's like one of those that holds a special spot in my heart, but it's like warranted and justified beyond just like personal attachment.
Oh, yeah. I respect that. I absolutely agree with that. It should be in the top 100.
Well, let's find out sort of why that is the case. Why, as a Christmas movie, as a regular movie, beyond those parameters, what is it about this movie? So what do you think, first big question off the bat here, what is it about Home Alone that makes it the Christmas classic, that makes it the winner of our holiday bracket? Why is this the go-to family movie? I mean, it's the violent, twisted movie. It has torture in it. It's a dysfunctional family at its core. This is not the warm and fuzzy feelings that you think about at Christmas, yet for some reason, this is the go-to Christmas movie.
I have to say, I think that a Christmas movie doesn't have to be warm and fuzzy. I think that
hit me with those categories. What are the rules for a Christmas movie?
Okay. So rules for a Christmas movie: it has to take place in a time period right before Christmas, on Christmas Day itself, or like the brief window between Christmas Day and New Year's Day. We need Christmas decor. We need holiday decor. So check. We definitely hit that. I need hijinks. I need hijinks in the movie. Every single Christmas movie, every single successful Christmas movie, there is a hijink of some form or another. You know? Like,
there are plenty of hijinks here.
Exactly. I challenge listeners to come up with a Christmas movie that doesn't have hijinks in it. Because it doesn't exist.
I mean, hijinks can be all over the spectrum, whether it's here dropping a scalding iron on someone's face from 15 feet above, or you're Bruce Willis at Nakatomi Plaza and you're throwing a body out the window. Like, that's hijinks as well, you know?
Exactly. It's something that's quirky, or it's like action fueled, just something that's out of the ordinary. I need like competition. I need something out of the ordinary that just
pulling a fast one on somebody.
Yeah, exactly. We're playing pranks, we're having fun, or we're punching someone in the face. You know? Okay, a Christmas movie, a holiday movie has to have music that fits the season. Like
okay, Home Alone. First of all-time soundtrack of Rocking Around the Christmas Tree, all of the like classics. But also on the flip side, all-time score, John Williams, the composer, like the Home Alone song, the Home Alone theme is now a Christmas song. Like, that is like in Christmas playlists. So check.
You hear that song, you hear his score, and you are immediately pulled back into it. Yeah.
We'll have to like auto-tune that for the listeners.
Yeah, that sounded beautiful. Great work.
What's the last category? I think you have one more.
Yes, final category. So while I think a Christmas movie doesn't have to be warm and fuzzy, there does have to be a lesson learned. Like, there has to be heart. You know, if there's no morality, if there's no like ethical lesson that we've learned, then there's just no heart to the movie. There's no point of it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely get that at the end of this film, which we'll get into some of the Home Alone specifics. But I mean, if that's the criteria, Home Alone meets and goes above and beyond all of that.
I agree. Exceeds expectations.
I mean, and we kind of touched on it already, but on top of all of that, insanely rewatchable. The fact, like I said, you're watching it multiple times a holiday season, or at least once a year. Like, for me personally, this kind of leads into my next topic I wanted to talk about, but like my tradition, I guess, is that this is my movie that kicks off the holiday season. Thanksgiving night, I'm watching Home Alone. We're done with Halloween. We're done with Thanksgiving. It's from here on out, it's Christmas time. And this kind of like works to get me in that mood. And then I'll usually probably try and rewatch it at least once throughout the time leading up to Christmas, if not at least watching Home Alone 2 as well. So
yeah,
like this is the indicator.
Agreed. I agree. Controversial question. Do you like the third or fourth Home Alone?
I've never seen the fourth one. The third one, no. wild. I've only seen it once, and it was like as a child, but like even then I was like, first of all, no Macaulay Culkin. They just like went off script, and it goes from like the Wet Bandits or their renamed Sticky Bandits to now it's like the third one. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but it's international spies like stealing like nuclear weapons codes that a kid has or something. Like it's like some absurd thing. Like what happens in the first two is like absurd, but to the point of being like
plausible,
not believable, but like you're willing to look past it. But then it just like completely loses like the point of the movie, or like the like reality, if there is any, you know, in the first two.
Yeah, I agree. I think that after Kevin is gone, Macaulay Culkin, it's not Home Alone anymore.
Agreed. So it's just Home Alone 1, Home Alone 2, and then that Google commercial from a couple years ago where Macaulay Culkin came back. So that's like the Home Alone canon.
I agree. Thank you, Google, for adding to the canon.
Exactly. So do you have a memory, I guess? Well, first of all, do you have like a tradition similar like what I was saying about Thanksgiving and watching this movie? Is there like a certain time when you watch Home Alone during the holiday season, or is it just kind of whenever the spirit moves you?
It's every single night of the holiday season.
Insanely rewatchable.
I learn something new every time. I can't think of like I can't tell you the first time I saw this movie, because when I think back through like Christmas holidays and everything, this movie was
just always there.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just been a part of us from the moment we were born. It was Home Alone. But it's like number one on the must watch kind of every year. Like the whole family is like, well, should we watch Home Alone? You know? But it has to happen every year. No, we don't have any fun traditions. I wish we did, though. I was thinking about that. I was like, God, I wish we like booby trapped our house or something every year. Spirit of Home Alone. Like something exciting, but maybe next year.
I'm trying. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't have like a specific like first time I watched it. It was just kind of like always there, and always was like, okay, it's Christmas, we're watching Home Alone. There wasn't ever like a realization, I guess. I feel like there was like in the last 5 years maybe of like, I guess once I started to like really get into movies more and like thinking critically and stuff, that's when it was more of like, wow, like I love this movie, not just like, oh, I'm watching it every Christmas, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I will say this is an interesting thing I was thinking about, that in those memories of watching this movie, like as a child, I feel like when you think about Home Alone, you think about the break-in, the booby traps, all that stuff that you just mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like weird to revisit it now as like someone who's older and has a better memory and stuff.
As
like
an adult, like with a job.
Yes, exactly. But it's like the break-in is not, when I thought about it as a child, the entire movie was the break-in and the booby traps.
Yes.
Now that's only like the last 20 to 30 minutes of this movie. Like that's kind of, did you have that same phenomenon of like coming to realize that?
Yes. And also I feel like as a kid I was like, yeah, Kevin, like rooting for Kevin. But as an adult, I kind of got to a point where I was like, okay, like Harry and Marv, I understand.
Like, yes, we have to teach this kid a lesson. Come on.
Like, when his mom banishes him to the attic, I'm like, yeah, he needed it. Like,
he's having an attitude. He needs to be punished. Yes, that is definitely something that you come to realize as well. Of like, it goes from like, oh, this is so fun, he's eating ice cream for dinner, to like, maybe they had a point. Maybe they were onto something there. And then there's like the whole, like, I don't know if you've ever ventured into it, but like the like insane conspiracy theories about like, I was looking at one last night that Kevin is Jigsaw, like the puzzle maker from the Saw franchise. Like that's like a canonical connection between these two franchises, that because he sets the traps, he tortures people, he enjoys it. Like there's like these dark twists about like his, what was that?
I said he's a like he's a sadist. Like that
exactly
makes sense. I subscribe to that conspiracy theory.
I mean, I think there's definitely like a lot to unpack there. about how he's treated by his family, what that treatment then leads to in his actions. There's just a whole lot going on there, but I think we're kind of dancing around it here. But like another thing that makes this movie so great is Macaulay Culkin as Kevin. Like he is Christmas.
Yes.
That's the easiest way to put it. But he, like, this is a 10-year-old actor playing an 8-year-old. That doesn't really make a difference, but absolutely just like captivating the world in this movie, that he's just like absolutely dominates. He's literally carrying the movie. He's the main character. He's on screen for the majority of the time. And to see it's even now still, it's like rare to see a young actor capable of doing that with such charm, such charisma, to like be so well. I mean, like you mentioned Stranger Things as your show. Those kids are like teenagers at least. This is a 10-year-old. That's insane.
Yeah, absolutely insane. Looked up a few Macaulay Culkin Home Alone facts. Do you know he made just over $100,000 for Home Alone? He made $4.5 million for Home Alone 2.
I mean, my kid got paid. He knew what was up.
Yes. But like to be, okay, just for Home Alone, to be 10 years old and to now have $100,000 in your bank account as a 10-year-old.
What are we doing? Why are we slacking? We suck.
No, I don't know.
Macaulay, stop making me feel so bad about myself.
Macaulay. Also, after Home Alone came out, he ended up hosting SNL at like 11 years old.
Insane.
I know. He was the second youngest person to ever host an SNL episode.
I wonder who was the first. Do you know?
I do. It was Drew Barrymore. She hosted in the 80s when she was 7 years old.
What? Why are we so unaccomplished, Kylie?
I don't know. I don't know what we're doing. But Macaulay and Drew are king and queen.
I'm on his Wikipedia page right now, and I'm reading that between 1994 and 1998, he took a break from acting after his 15th film in 7 years because he wanted a normal life, which for a 14-year-old kid, I can't blame him. Pumping out 15 movies in 7 years. Like, he went from being like a child actor to being like the biggest star in the world in 1990 after this movie came out.
Well, because he was also like, he was doing My Girl at that time and like Richie Rich. He was everywhere.
I don't know if you listen to the podcast, The Rewatchables, that The Ringer does, but they did an episode a couple weeks ago about Home Alone. And one of their little half-assed internet research was the fact that it was in an interview, Chris Columbus said that it was easier to work with Macaulay Culkin than it was to work with Joe Pesci. So not only was he 10 years old and just captivating, but he was like a great person to be around on set. He was a talented actor who was nice and respectful as a young child.
Yeah, professional at 10 years old. I can't imagine.
Man.
What were you doing at 10? What were you doing at 10 years old?
I was on the playground, not amounting to anything, not having any sort of $100,000 in my bank account. Just an absolute disappointment to my parents.
I was trying to, I don't know, like play soccer with my crush on the school playground. Like there's nothing professional about me at 10.
I bet your crush would have liked you if you were securing the bag in Hollywood.
Yeah. Or if I was like professionally booby trapping my house. I think one way or the other, that would have been significantly cooler than what I was doing.
I'm with you there. But okay, so let's pivot here in this discussion. So we're going to break this down into the simplest way possible so we can kind of keep on track and not just ramble, because we could easily for 3 hours ramble in every direction we wanted to go about Home Alone. So we're going to try and keep on a schedule. We got some categories, some questions to discuss, just a bunch of different like subheadings that we're going to hit. But first off, in a movie that's so rewatchable, what are your favorite scenes here? I mean, there's so many to pick from, but I'll kind of name a couple of mine off the top. I know you just rewatched it today, I believe. So it should all be fresh for you. So I think some that just immediately jump out to me, the opening madness at the house, not like we're late, we're scrambling, but like literally the very beginning when Harry is like in disguise as the police officer, he's going in, everyone's just kind of bustling around, the whole family's there, and he can't find an adult to talk to. Everything's just like going on. They're trying to order pizza, all that stuff. Like it really just like immediately throws you into the movie, the hecticness of the family, the dynamic of the family. And so I think that's a good scene to like set the scene, if you will, for the entire movie.
Oh, 100%. They throw you right into that. And think about like Chris Columbus directing that, like the blocking and the choreography that would have to go into that kind of chaotic scene. He did such a good job.
Your theater nerd is coming out talking about blocking. That theater background, I love it.
It's the truth, though. Your eye is always bouncing around from place to place, but it's so organized and clean. It's so good.
And you kind of get a glimpse at everyone in the family as well, of like, okay, Kevin throwing a fit, different siblings walking by, pitching in their 2 cents, the parents, the uncle, like all of them, not like diving deep into their characters, but kind of getting a feel for everyone.
Yeah, for sure.
Another
I'm caught up with a favorite scene. Actually, the family rushing to get ready and like rushing through the airport. You know, Run Run Rudolph is playing and they're rushing around. Right. I love that entire scene. I love it.
And also an underrated player in this movie. I don't think we'll have a chance to talk about him later, but the neighbor who comes in when they're trying to pack up from the van, but I'm trying to find his name right now. Mitch Murphy.
Yes.
Is the neighbor. He gets mistaken for Kevin during the head count, but he comes in from across the street as they're getting ready to go to Paris, introduces himself to the airport van driver, asks if he's going out of town, tells that he's going to Orlando and Missouri to pick up his grandma. He's giving his life story to this guy, just absolutely killing it. He's only given a couple lines, but he just does his very best and tries to talk about the van. Does the van get good gas mileage? Like, what an 8-year-old, just like absolute questions off the wall.
Yeah, he's admirable. He's a good character. And I'm sad that he was in it for like 2 seconds, but you're right. He delivered that well. He killed it.
If only his Florida trip had gotten canceled, he could have teamed up with Kevin to help. That's what I'd like to see, that crossover event right there.
Let's have a reboot.
They are doing a reboot for Disney Plus. Did you ever watch Jojo Rabbit?
Yeah.
It's the guy who played Yorkie from the young friend.
Oh my gosh, yes.
He's being the kid, and then Ellie Kemper, Aaron from Parks and Rec, and Rob Delaney are the parents. I don't know if they've announced who. I think it's gonna be a series. I don't know if it's gonna be a film, actually. I'm not sure. This is my half-assed internet research.
I love every single one of those people. Like I could totally see all of them doing that. They'd kill it.
Also, I'm reading that Macaulay Culkin will be reprising his role in the new movie. I don't know in what sense, but we'll see.
Maybe he's like Uncle Kevin.
He comes over to save him and teach him how to booby trap the house.
Ooh, maybe.
I'm also curious. This is getting off topic, like I mentioned, but how do you make Home Alone happen in the age of smartphones and technology where, we left Kevin at home, let's just FaceTime him real quick and make sure everything's okay. We'll look up on the Ring doorbell and make sure nobody's breaking in. Like,
right, exactly. Or even just like simply like, hey, we're going to contact the authorities and somebody will handle this.
Honey, we could have done that in 1990.
I cannot believe how incompetent the police department was in this movie.
Oh, there's a kid home alone. I'll drive by the house and knock once. He didn't answer. Must not be there.
He's fine. It looks fine.
All right. Back on track. Favorite scenes. Another nominee from myself. The whole Kevin ordering pizza, using the dialogue from Angels with Filthy Souls. Leave it on the doorstep and get out. I'm going to count to 3. Snakes? Like all of that, the shootout, keep the change, you filthy animal. Just iconic stuff all around. That's something that obviously been spinned off into Merry Christmas, you filthy animal. Again, in Home Alone 2, he uses a similar audio. That's one of the like most iconic scenes, I would say.
I agree. No, I love the Angels with Filthy Souls. Like that whole, it's almost the movie within the movie. I would love to watch Angels with Filthy Souls like full feature.
Drop the Criterion Collection, Angels with Filthy Souls. I will buy the 4K Ultra HD copy.
Agreed, me too. We'll have a movie night.
Another great one, I think, is, which we'll get into in a little bit more in depth, but his whole going to the store, buying the toothbrush, seeing Old Man Marley there freaking out, running and accidentally stealing the toothbrush, and then like the chase across the pond and all of that leading up to him walking down the street and almost getting hit by the wet bandits in their van.
Yes. Okay, when he's walking down the street and he looks at the toothbrush and he goes, I'm a criminal. It's the best little line. It's so good.
There are so many of those, like, it's not even meant to necessarily like be a joke or a funny line, but like the way that he delivers them, it just like makes it hysterical.
I agree. Okay, here's a favorite scene. Kevin's elaborate house party that he kind of throws together to convince the wet bandits that the house is full of people. You got like the cutout of Michael Jordan running through the room on the train. You've got several.
He should be, if he didn't grow up to be an engineer, like, my goodness, what a waste of potential.
Yeah, wasted opportunity. Okay, I will say, why does this family have so many mannequins?
Exactly my question. I was waiting for you to stop talking so I can bring that up. Literally, McAllister family, someone in the McAllister family has like a mannequin fetish or something. Like, this is, it's so weird to have that many like, he's worried about going into the basement and being scared of the furnace. Be scared of all of those dangling body parts down there. Like, did your mother used to own a Belk's or like a department store? Like, what is this about?
Maybe, I don't know. Or is somebody a puppeteer? Like, what do your parents do for a living? This is very odd.
It is. I'm with you there. I mean, unless you have any other favorite scenes, I think the next logical one is the entire break-in sequence. I think it's hard to kind of break that down into smaller sub scenes. Is there anything I'm missing here?
I did write, kind of going off of your when he goes to the store, but this is after the grocery store. It's not even a whole scene. It's just a cutaway shot. But when he's walking down the sidewalk with his two bags.
And they just break.
That moment, it doesn't matter how many times I've seen that movie. When his bags break all over the sidewalk, I laugh out loud every time. I was going to say, I wrote down the entire attempted break-in. Is the whole, like, that entire thing, though, is an incredible scene.
It is. It's one giant masterpiece. But I forgot, you reminded me. So the toothbrush theft is one thing. And then what you're talking about is after he goes to the grocery store, which is another fantastic sequence of him checking out at the grocery store. And the way that he talks to the cashier, who's, like, maybe a teenage girl. She's like trying to figure out why this 8-year-old is buying groceries. And he's like, oh, wait, hold on. I've got a coupon for that. Or he asked, how about these microwave dinners? Are they any good? And then the like army men for the kids. Like, that's another one of those little tiny one-liners that he just nails.
Yeah, he delivers it so well. Like it's like he's in on the joke, you know?
It's so funny. And that but he's also able to like pull it off. Like, would my mother let me come in by myself? She's in the car. Like, he's convincing, but he's also like play adulting, which we'll get into in a second because that's something I kind of want to break down deeper. But
definitely,
lot of great scenes. I think I would probably go with the Angels with Filthy Souls, the pizza scene, which again gets called back to when Marv is listening at the door as well. I think that's like just the epitome. Other than the break-in, like, is the epitome of like Home Alone and part of its lasting legacy.
Okay, sure. So if you were going to like show someone one scene from Home Alone, you would show them like that scene.
I think so. I mean, I think that's got like like you're talking about the hijinks of everything. Like that's like, okay, what else is this kid up to? He's obviously smart enough to be able to trick people with these two instances. So let's see what else he's got up his sleeve.
Sure. Yeah, that is a good one. I think I would have to show someone the scene where he is putting on the little mini party in his house and he's trying to because one, it shows him kind of goofing off and having fun, but it also just gives you a hint of just the like mental capacity that Kevin has.
Just imagine if that brain power was used for good and not evil.
If he can pull this off, what else can he do?
Well, going off of favorite scenes, we also have best quotes, which, again, a movie filled with incredible quotable lines. I think right off the bat, there are two that are just like, I think we're on the same page here, that they're like repeated in daily life. And for me, that's, "Look what you did, you little jerk," from Uncle Frank. I'll dive into that. I keep diving into things later. There's a lot coming.
Yeah.
But just that's when Kevin's ends up hitting Buzz and then spilling stuff all over the pizza party at the very beginning of the movie. And Uncle Frank just lets him have it. Like, that's not even your own child that you're speaking to that way. So a lot of like interesting relationships here, but what a all-timer. I would use that in my daily life if someone messes up in front of me. If it's someone I'm close with, not a random stranger or someone else's child, but
I think you should also apply it to random strangers and other people's children. Why not?
Uncle Frank does.
You're right. No, you're right. Okay, I have to say my favorite line, and this is something that I literally use in everyday life. Okay, the line is, "Buzz, your girlfriend, woof."
Same page there.
It's so classic. It's funny because it's just a quick one-liner. I don't like that he's making fun of a girl, but gosh, the way he delivers it, I say woof all the time now because of that line. If I'm not saying
yes, I say woof as well.
Exactly. I think that comes from literally Kevin in Home Alone.
Also, if it makes you feel any better, another piece of half-assed internet research was that Chris Columbus, like you, felt bad making fun of a girl. So that photo is actually a boy dressed up as a girl. So maybe that can clear your conscience a little bit when it comes to making fun of Buzz's girlfriend.
Oh, woof. Do you have another favorite quote?
Okay, "Keep the change, you filthy animal." We mentioned it earlier. The whole Angels with Filthy Souls dialogue is incredible, but that's obviously the most iconic standout line of just the whole thing. That's, like I said, it's spun off into "Merry Christmas, you filthy animal." You'll see it on those like Walmart Christmas sweaters or something like that. So
yeah.
Just a great one.
I love too the other guy in Angels with Filthy Souls who's like, "Johnny, I'm sorry." Good.
"I'm gonna give you to the count of 3 or count of 10 to get your no good, ugly keister off my." Like, I don't have it all memorized, but it's a great dialogue.
I agree. Okay, my next one. It actually comes from Buzz, and it's when they're in Paris, and his sister's like, "Are you not worried about Kevin, like, at all?" And he goes, "No, for three reasons. A, I'm not that lucky. 2, we have smoke detectors. And D, we live on the most boring street in the United States of America.
Yes.
Where nothing remotely dangerous will ever happen, period." So
Buzz, your IQ, woof.
What? A, 2, D.
And also when Buzz is talking about French babes and shaving their pits, like, just Buzz has pound for pound, line for line. I think he just like delivers absolute heaters.
He does. You're right. Like the actor himself, I don't think they could have casted a better person to play Buzz.
And then I can't remember the full line, but I might have it pulled up actually. But it's when he calls him a flimwad.
Yes. a flimwad, and I wouldn't let you sleep in my room if you were growing on my ass.
Yeah, just absolute savage.
It's brutal. If I had Buzz as an older brother, I don't think that I would ever have self-esteem in my whole life.
Don't you know how to knock, Flimwad?
Ouch. Ouch. Okay, another favorite quote is just simply when Catherine O'Hara yells Kevin on the plane.
Yes, that's synonymous with this movie itself. And I think another one that you're leading into of the Catherine O'Hara part of the movie, which we haven't really talked about much, but as she is making her way back and hitching a ride with the polka crew.
I love that whole dynamic, the whole thing.
Yes, it's so funny the way she's trying to figure out how she's getting back and then having to ride with this band and their instruments in the back of what is basically like a U-Haul truck. But the introductory quote, polka, 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 we're very big in Sheboygan. Like that whole sequence of him trying to make her recognize their polka band is great.
John Candy as Gus Polinski, the polka king of the Midwest. Perfect. And he goes, polka, polka, polka. I could watch that scene over and over.
The fact that it's not just like the polka king is not enough. That this leads me to believe that there is a greater polka king, that he has to be specified as the polka king of the Midwest in order to be recognized. So who knew that the polka world was so thorough, so it ran so deep?
Yeah, cutthroat. It's competitive. You got to be the best of the best.
Well, I think of those nominees, unless you have any others you want to throw out, I'm going with you. I'm saying Buzz Your Girlfriend, woof, just because of the lasting impact it has had on my life, adding woof as a reaction in my regular vocabulary.
Yeah, it's amazing how that one little line has just absolutely like culturally affected kind of everyone. It is so much in our vernacular. Like it's everywhere. Whoa.
It's like I'm not saying yikes anymore. I'm saying woof.
Yeah.
Like that's just the reaction. You see something rough, woof.
Whoa. Buzz, your girlfriend, woof.
I'm glad that we were able to clear your conscience there with the whole the boy dressed up as the girl. That makes you feel better.
Yeah, I had no idea. That was interesting. Good Easter egg.
Well, since we're talking about Buzz so much, and he is a strong nominee for this next category, which is the worst McAllister family member. We all know that the entire McAllister family sucks.
They suck.
They're so bad. They left their child home alone. They left him without supervision as they went out of the country. But of this entire family, who calls him les incompetents or flimwad or you grew on my ass or look what you did, you little jerk, all of these people, who is the worst in your opinion? I mean, I think I've got 3 strong nominees. I don't know if you have anyone else you want to add, but Uncle Frank, Buzz, and the parents as a package deal are just off the top. I mean, and we've kind of dissected Uncle Frank and Buzz already, but Mom and Dad.
I like that you included them as a package deal.
Well, it's like the whole movie is about her desperate desire to get back to him. And first of all, the dad doesn't really seem as like interested whatsoever as she is to get back. But then I don't know if you've ever actually do you know what honest trailers are on YouTube?
Yes, yeah.
So I don't know if you've watched the Home Alone one, but they have like a great sequence where after it's the live footage of the movie and everyone gets back to Kevin and they have that reunion in like the entryway, and then everyone just like walks away and Kevin is just left alone on his own again. It's before he goes to the window to see Old Man Marley reuniting with his family. But like everyone's like, oh cool, you didn't burn the house down, we're back. Yeah, all right, okay, bye. And like That's it. The whole family is awful, but like the mom and dad did not have any further cares once they were back home. It's like, oh, did we miss anything in the mail, or let's go unpack or something. Like,
do we have eggs or milk? Bread, milk? Yeah, you're right. That's weird that I never thought about that, how they just immediately go to business as usual. Like everything's normal.
Any other nominees on your behalf for the worst McAllister family member?
No, I think that you've nailed it. Of the McAllister family, those three are the worst. Although I will say,
if you had to pick one though, who is your one pick?
Okay, this was tough. I was really tossing it up between Buzz and Uncle Frank because although mom and dad are like absolutely fumbling the ball like over and over and over again, Uncle Frank and Buzz are next level. But I think I have to go with Uncle Frank.
I'm with you. We've been on the same page this whole time. It's not surprising. Uncle Frank, speaking to a family member's child who is not your own, like, look what you did, you little jerk, is enough on its own. But then on top of that, when they're in France and he like is not concerned whatsoever with getting back home or like the rest of the family's problems, like this guy sucks.
When they are on the airplane and Catherine O'Hara is like having a full-blown panic attack because she's realized Kevin is at home, he leans over the seat and he says, "If it makes you feel any better, I left my reading glasses." Like, Uncle Frank, it does not make me feel any better.
Oh my God, just read the room, Uncle Frank.
I hate the guy. Oh, I can't stand him. I can't stand him. I do have to say, although we didn't discuss this beforehand, do you have a favorite McAllister family member?
I mean, other than the obvious, other than Kevin, I think that I'd have to go with, why am I blanking on his name right now?
I know, you and I are about to have the same. Oh my God, I wrote down Justice for Fuller on my paper so big.
Fuller, go easy on the Pepsi.
when Uncle Frank backs his chair up.
I was about to mention that, yes. Squishes the little guy.
The physical comedy that Fuller has, his like facial expressions, everything.
Yes, good. When he says, "I don't want to sleep with Fuller," he wets the bed, and then it cuts to Fuller drinking the Pepsi and just like smiling at Kevin. Also, did you know, I don't know if you watched Succession.
Oh yeah.
Fuller is Kieran Culkin.
Yes,
That's Macaulay's brother, I think.
Yeah, it's his younger brother.
Yes.
I love Succession. Big Cousin Greg girl. Big fan.
Oh, yes. Okay, so I'm actually watching it for the first time all the way through. I'm only halfway through season 2, so no spoilers.
Okay,
but
no spoilers. Whoa.
The fact that, like, Fuller, who wets the bed, has grown up into this, like, absolute, like, lovable douche on one of the biggest shows, like, best shows ever is insane.
I gotta say, though, like, Fuller makes sense as an origin story for Kieran Culkin's character on Succession.
For Romulus Roy.
Yes, it absolutely, like the utter neglect he experiences as the baby of the McAllister family, the McAllister clan.
It explains why he is the way he is as Roman.
Yes, you would have to have a sense of humor if you were Fuller. But then also I'd imagine that you would turn into a bit of a terrible person as well.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it's the same with Fuller as it is with Kevin. I would imagine that Kevin probably ended up in a similar fashion as well.
Yeah.
After such neglect.
Yeah. Or jail. If they didn't end up in jail.
True. You know, honestly, the Wet Bandits could have turned themselves in and pressed charges.
Honestly.
Well, the next category that we have on deck is another sort of category / question. And that's something I alluded to earlier. The fact that, so when this happens, when Kevin wakes up, he's home alone. He kind of has this dual reaction of, okay, I'm home alone. My family's gone. I can do whatever I want. I'm going to be the king of the castle. I'm going to do everything that a little kid would do if I was left home alone. But then on the other side, he's sort of like, okay, I'm here. I'm the man of the house. I have to do what adults do. So I want to talk about favorite child Kevin moment and favorite grown-up moment, because for me, part of the thrill of the movie as a child is being like, okay, if I were in this position, I would eat ice cream for dinner. I would jump on my parents' bed. I would go in my brother's room. And those are like natural things that he does.
Absolutely.
So I want, first of all, of everything he does, Home Alone, before booby trapping, which of those did any of them specifically like speak to you the most as your favorite child Home Alone Kevin moment?
Yes, favorite Kevin as a child moment was absolutely when he immediately put on Angels with Filthy Souls, because as a kid, if I had been left alone to my own devices, I think one of the first things I would have done is watched all the movies I wasn't allowed to watch.
And I mean, when you combo that with the bowl of ice cream for dinner, I mean, guys, I'm eating junk and watching rubbish. You better come out and stop me.
There's so much ice cream in that bowl that it makes me honestly feel sick just to even think about it now.
Just thinking about it, yes.
And like that would literally block me up for an entire 2 weeks.
I'm with you there. I think that it's all great, but I think another big thing, I don't know. I feel like if I had a different brother, I would feel differently, but like Drew and I, my brother, we're like very connected and open. There wasn't like that animosity like Buzz and Kevin. So it's not like we had any secrets to like be like, oh, he's gone, I'm going to sneak into his room and read all his private stuff and look at photos of his girlfriend. Like, so, I mean, I feel like if I had a different brother, that would be my go-to. But because I had that sort of like open, loving, and not hateful relationship, I'm with you on watching movies or eating ice cream.
Okay, wait, note on Buzz's room really quick. Why does he keep all of his like contraband in one trunk? Everything bad that he owns is in the
no clothes. Disgusting. What does he say?
Absolutely no clothes on anyone. the Playboy magazine. Oh my God, that's so funny. But no, why? If a single parent walked in and was like, "Oh, Buzz, what's in there?" Oh, it's full of
every bad thing ever.
Porn, firecrackers, a lot of Junior Mints.
And then also just like the whole tarantula situation and climbing up the shelves and stuff. And you hear the repercussions of that at the end when it closes with Buzz yelling about Kevin, what did you do to my room?
But the tarantula itself is why I considered Buzz as like one of the villains of this. I hate that.
Who owns a tarantula?
Oh my gosh, it makes me just I am so afraid of spiders, and watching those scenes sends shivers down my spine. I hate that spider. Oh my God.
I mean, I can't blame you there. So, well, on the flip side though, like I said, on the adult side, Kevin has this sudden responsibility to buy the eggs, to get the groceries, to go get a toothbrush, to wear aftershave. Like, what of these is your favorite of seeing him try and pull off an 8-year-old being an adult?
Okay, I have to say, although we were talking, like we wanted to discuss like pre-booby trap, my favorite adult Kevin thing is that he actually manages to plan and use tools for this booby trapping that I, as a 25-year-old, I wouldn't even know how to start using, and then manages to clean it all up.
That's one of the biggest questions about this movie is how does the house get clean after the break-in before the family comes back?
I'd imagine it's Kevin acting as an adult, I guess.
Kevin has some house elves.
Maybe the elf on the shelf really stepped it up for Kevin. But that's, as an adult, like his ability to tackle a to-do list is unmatched. Incredible work, adult Kevin.
I respect that, but
what about you?
First of all, I have an honorable mention, which is the aftershave, because first of all, he puts it on, he screams because of the sting of it and whatnot. But the fact that he does it and then does it again the next day because he knows I'm an adult, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Like that, if that's not his conviction and like pretending to be an adult, absolutely hilarious that he's not like, oh, this stung. I'm not going to do it again. He's like, no, I have to do this. This is how you become an adult.
I'm committed. I have to ask you, have you ever used aftershave?
No, never. I have never, so I haven't experienced the same fire on my face as him. But
I'm so intrigued by that. Like, ever since watching Kevin do that in Home Alone, I'm like, well, what would it feel like? Like, what is aftershave like? I'm very intrigued. I was curious if you had tried. It looks like it feels pretty bad.
I mean, I can't imagine it's that bad though, or else it like wouldn't be a product.
True. I guess if it was burning everybody's faces, like the FDA, somebody would have to step in and be like, we have a problem.
All right, listeners, if you've tried aftershave, tweet at us, let us know what the sensation feels like. But my actual favorite Kevin grown-up moment is when he goes to buy the toothbrush. The fact that he is out here saying, is this toothbrush approved by the American Dental Association? That he's not just out there buying a toothbrush, but he wants to make sure he's getting the very best that the American Dental Association has to offer is before any sort of theft or chase or hijinks, just that whole mindset that I guess his family packed. Well, what's the question? Why is he getting a toothbrush? Because his mom didn't pack his suitcase for him. He was responsible for doing it. So it's not like he packed his toothbrush and it went off to France. So I don't know where his current toothbrush is.
He mentions in the movie, he's like, it seems that I've misplaced my toothbrush or something like that, where he's like, I can't seem to locate my toothbrush, which is like, hey, as an 8-year-old, you should probably know where that is by now. Just saying.
Come on, Kevin. That one's on you.
Yeah, hopefully he's brushed his teeth enough times in his life to know like where that should belong.
Yeah, hopefully. But again, little kids, they like hate showering. They hate brushing their teeth. Like anything hygiene related is like a no-go for 8-year-old boys. I don't know about 8-year-old girls. So
aftershave is a yes, though.
Props to Kevin for showering though, because I feel like most children home alone would not do that.
True. Oh, wait, this just popped in my head, and I have to ask. We see him in his parents' bathroom, in his parents' bedroom, in Buzz's bedroom. Do we ever see Kevin in Kevin's bedroom?
That's a good question.
I don't think
because he goes to the attic as well. We never see what Kevin's bedroom looks like.
It's such a mystery. What a man of mystery, Kevin McAllister.
Wow. Great. See, that's what you're talking about. You were joking when you said you noticed something new every time, but you did.
I did. Like, I thought that today. We were like wrapping up the movie, and I was like, what does this room look like? Does he have toys? Who is Kevin?
That's a great point. I think, okay, before we close things out in this section of the podcast about Home Alone, I think there's one major question that we have to ask. I actually tweeted this a couple weeks ago. I'm trying to pull up the old results. Yeah, here we go. So who gets it worse, Harry or Marv? Of the Wet Bandits, Harry, Joe Pesci's character, or Marv, Daniel Stern's character, which one takes the biggest beating during the home invasion scene? I tweeted this, and it actually got 326 votes, which I don't know about you, but for me, that's a ton. Like, compared to normal poll, I'll get like 50 maybe. So this got kind of like passed around in different circles, it seems like. I got a couple responses of people making their case, but we'll go through here. I'll take Harry, you take Marv, and then we can talk about what happens to both of them. But just let's run through the list of major catastrophic injuries that they each go through, and then we'll kind of hear it out, hear what your thoughts are and who I'm leaning towards. So
sure. Okay.
For Harry, biggest, most detrimental injury, I would say, when he opens the door and his head gets blowtorched. Like, Kevin has somehow rigged, you were talking about his engineering earlier, he has rigged a string to a blowtorch on top of the door, and he stands there for a good 2 seconds, getting his scalp absolutely burnt to a crisp before dunking it in snow. So that's huge. Major scalp burns there. And then that's not it, though. He gets his hand burned on a doorknob as well, which, according to an article I read on Mental Floss, if the doorknob is glowing visibly red in the dark, that means it has been heated to about 751 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh my God.
That's hot. And he grabs it for at least 2 seconds, probably, before, again, like, it said that was near the temperature where his hand would just like burst into flames when he touches it. So we're lucky that didn't happen. So if he can ever use that hand again, it's a miracle. But if that's not enough, crowbar to the chest when Marv sees the tarantula on there. So that's at least some broken ribs. And then he gets covered in gel and feathers when that's the least of his worries at this point, though.
You're right. Definitely least of his worries, but like woof. Truly. Buzz, your
shout out to, that's like a Parent Trap crossover there when they have the feathers and the prank in the cabin.
Yeah, it's creative. I've never done that to anyone in my life, but you know, it's a prank to consider. I got the head on the blowtorch to the head. When it happens to him and he just stands there like screaming for a couple
what are you doing, man?
Oh, but then when he sticks this is weird. When he sticks his head in the snow, that's probably so painful, but it's like the instant sizzle noise, like the relief that he's like, great. It's funny to me. I don't know. Good physical comedy. I'm going to jump into the Marv stuff.
Okay. Let's hear it.
Some of the worst things to happen to Marv. When he finally does get into the basement, Marv takes an iron to the face. Hot iron straight
Woof.
to the face. Woof. And if that's not bad, he starts climbing up the steps to get into the main part of the house.
The steps which are covered in tar, I believe.
Yes, so he's lost his 2 shoes, he's lost his socks, he's barefoot, yanking his feet up off the tar to try to keep going up the steps, which also, Kevin, who would think to put tar on his basement steps? Anyway, this is the worst, I hate this. He steps down, takes an absolute nail through the foot, a nail completely through his bare foot, which gives me A Quiet Place vibes.
Yes, exactly. Emily Blunt in A Quiet Place. But
like,
at least Marv lets out a big wail.
One of the most painful looking things. It makes me cringe.
Luckily, this like cuts away though, so you don't actually see it. But
true.
It's like, again, iron to the face, definitely a bigger overall issue than a nail through the foot. But there's just something about that makes it so much like squirmier than like just getting decked in the face with an iron.
Exactly. It's, oh my God. It's just, it's something that should not be anywhere near your foot. It hurts me to think about it. Okay, but after he has brutally wrecked his foot, he runs outside barefoot. He goes to the front, or he runs around to the side of the house. So he's barefoot running through the snow, finds an open window, starts to climb in through the open window, and just stomps his bare feet down on a ton of ornaments. Like, which also, I have to say, watching it, it's really funny the force at which he does put his feet down. It seems like
I would be tender after I just stepped on a nail.
I know. Why don't you just, I don't know, step down like a normal person? He stomps down on the ornaments, shatters the glass. He gets glass in his bare feet. And then I do have to say, although this isn't him getting like brutally hurt, he does get a tarantula on the face, which, as someone who's terrified of spiders, I hate it.
That's a mental trauma.
That's something he's going to have to go to therapy about for sure.
Well, on top of all of that, if those individual injuries weren't bad enough, let's throw in some stuff that happens to both of them. At the very start, they both take some BB gun pellets. Marv takes it straight to the forehead from point blank range, while Harry gets it in like the shin or groin. I can't really tell, but just neither place is great there. I'd probably prefer it to the shin than to my forehead, but still
the forehead before your groin.
Well, also the forehead, it's just like maybe at that point it's like, oh, my forehead hurts from that BB gun pellet. You know what'll take away that pain? An iron to the face.
Oh,
so at least Kevin was like thinking it out for them.
Wow,
they both
think about that Marv really got like, he kept getting the double hit, like it was
Marv's was like Harry you could survive, I feel like, but Marv's were like deadly. Like his were absolutely lethal.
Yes. Okay, wait, speaking of, there's a couple things that happened to both of them though that like genuinely could have been fatal accidents, like fatal things that happen. I will say the falling up and down the ice stairs, not necessarily fatal, more just very fun to watch. It was
Harry's in that case. Harry is worse. He's got Harry like flips on his back, but Marv just falls down the stairs. So Marv caught a break there, but like you said, there's some together ones that are just brutal.
Absolutely. Like brutal, fatal, deadly, the paint cans to the face.
Go ahead.
I feel like if that hit you hard enough in the right enough spot, that's it. Like you are out. You're knocked out and you maybe won't wake back up.
That in that same Mental Floss article about the doorknob and the temperature, it was talking about, okay, so assuming it was a 10-foot rope from the top and that the paint can is full, weighing about 10 pounds, it'll be traveling at this velocity, and when it makes impact with the face, it will cause severe facial fractures, probably knock you out, and then double that with the fall down the stairs, landing flat on your back. And it's just like broken face and broken spine. Like that, you wouldn't think about that being as deadly, but like that one is just like, because that's like a mid-tier assault for Kevin compared to what he's capable of, but that's still one of the most deadly ones.
It's ingenious. Like it's so, I would never think to do that. I would never look at a paint can and be like,
pinpoint accuracy.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That could have just
Kevin definitely practiced.
Probably with the mannequins in his house.
Yes, exactly. Target practice with the mannequins.
Incredible.
On top of that, some more head trauma. Why don't we throw this in there? Well, they fall from the zip line when they're chasing Kevin across. They smack into the brick wall of the outside of the house, and then once they chase him to the neighbor's house, Old Man Marley knocks them both over the head with a snow shovel. So, just one final piece of damage to try and finish them off. That somehow they miraculously survive and recover to come back for more in the sequel. So
wait, I do have to ask, would you rather take a shovel to the back of the head or a paint can to the face?
Shovel to the back of the head. Like Marley's just putting them out for the time being. He's not trying to kill them. Paint can to the face is, like we said, deadly.
He dead. How did the shovel then actually effectively knock them out, but the paint can didn't?
That's movie magic. It's Hollywood, baby. Before we make a final ruling here, I know this will not affect our ruling in the next one, or in this category, but I just want to mention in Home Alone 2, Marv fully electrocuted. I don't know if you remember, we didn't rewatch this one, but fully electrocuted. He gets to the point where it like flashes between him and a skeleton. So intense stuff there. Harry back for more with the blowtorched head set on fire again, but this time instead of dumping it in cold snow, he tries to put it in the toilet, but the toilet is filled with kerosene and his head literally explodes. God. And then they both, from the rooftop, at least 3 stories up, take bricks to the face. So if we're talking about maybe 1 or 2 deadly events in the first one, every single prank is deadly in the second one. They really raised the stakes there.
Yes, Kevin absolutely like number one escalated. Like he is moving along
Kevin leveled up.
Sociopath, psychopath pathway. He is next level now. It's amazing. Yeah, Home Alone 2 way deadlier than Home Alone.
Well, speaking of just Home Alone, in everything that we just break down, if you were a wet bandit and you knew what was coming, this is the way we're going to put this. Which wet bandit would you rather be to come out the most unscathed? You're going to be pretty scathed regardless, but if you had to pick, who do you think gets the least of the damage?
100%. I would rather be Harry. I would rather be Joe Pesci.
I am glad we're on the same page there.
Poor Marv. It is amazing. It's amazing that he survives any of this.
Yeah, I mean, I think we kind of alluded to it earlier, but Harry's are bad. Harry's are painful. Harry survives, though.
Yes.
Marv is done for. Marv is leaving the McAllister residence in a body bag.
Yes.
That's the only way out for him. So
Marv has irreversible brain damage from his encounter with Kevin.
I know I mentioned the Home Alone Honest trailer earlier. They also have a series called Honest Injuries, which I would highly recommend anyone go watch. And they go through both Home Alone movies, and it's like paint can to the face, damage, severe facial fracture, and it like scans, Marv is dead, and goes through every single instance and just like breaks it all down. And it's hysterical. I remember watching that for the first time and just absolutely losing it. So when you rewatch the movies, watch that as well, and it'll just make it all the better.
I love the wet bandits. I love the sticky wet bandits. I love them so much. They're like my dream Halloween. I wanted to be a wet bandit for Halloween, but nobody else would be the Harry to my Marv because I wanted to go with the iron on my face. Oh my God, I wanted to be Harry. Okay, this is perfect.
Next Halloween.
Next Halloween. We'll be states apart, but we'll know. We'll know.
Incredible. So I think we're both on the same page. R.I.P. Marv. We'd rather be Harry. Yeah. Any before we get into top 5 favorite Christmas movies, changing course, any final thoughts on Home Alone, on why it's so great, why it is the winner of the Holiday Movie Madness bracket?
I do have one final question for Home Alone.
Okay.
At the very end, when everything's wrapped up and it's Old Man Marley that knocks the guys in the back of the head with the shovel, does this mean that when Kevin was planning his like hijink plot, did he conspire with Old Man Marley, or was that just like a twist of fate? Thank God Old Man Marley was there.
Well, that's one of the things that on the Rewatchables podcast they looked into, because they were like, okay, what triggered his intervention here? Like, does he live, because I believe Kevin runs across the street to the other house. Marley lives next door. So they're like, what's the viewpoint here, the vantage point that allows him to see this going on across the street, but not next door? Like, why is he just coming in to intervene now at this point? Which has then led to some conspiracy theories. Is Old Man Marley Kevin from the future coming back to save himself? Which I'm going to be breaking down in my next TED Talk. So stay tuned.
Wow, what a theory. Really a murderer, and he was just like also scoping out, saw things getting bad, and was like, no, I can be the only bad guy on the block.
Kevin, you're too young.
No, the sticky wet bin, it's me or nobody. Interesting. Okay, I love Home Alone. This is such a classic movie. It's like a great movie for kids because you watch and you're just like, you believe you can do anything. But it's so fun for adults because there's just there's so many details. There's so much thrown into it that is so interesting and it's so much fun. The physical comedy of Home Alone is unmatched. Like the details
Yes.
are incredible. Like, for example, the little statue in front of their house, the fact that everyone who pulls into their driveway freaking hits that statue and is always having to put it back up. It's such a small detail, but it's funny over and over and over again. Like, I love the physical comedy in this movie.
Yeah, and that's something that, like, kids are always going to love physical comedy regardless, but it can get old with adults. Like, it can be, slapstick may not be your thing, but there's something about Home Alone that's so enjoyable, so fresh, so rewatchable, so just like absolutely hilarious that it doesn't matter if this movie is 90 minutes, however long this is, 2 hours of physical comedy. Like, it's still, you don't get tired of it as an adult watching this. Like, that's something that just kind of, it's a classic and it's able to just like withstand that.
Yeah, and it also holds up. Like, I mean, this came out, you said 1990. It's now 2020. It's 30 years later, and it holds up. Like, it's still so much fun to watch.
Agreed. That's it. That's the final thought on Home Alone. It's incredible. It holds up. It's a classic, Christmas champ. Shout out to Home Alone.
I give it 5 stars. I give it 5.
I legitimately give this 5 stars.
Yeah, 5 Kevin sliding down the steps and out the front door stars.
Which those steps did not align with the front door. Let's be honest here.
No, he was smacking into the wall in reality. But
100%. All right. Enough Home Alone. Let's pivot into top 5 favorite Christmas movies. This is not a draft, not anything like that. So this could be, it's just a ranking. We can have some overlap on our lists. It's not, I pick this, Kylie can't pick that. So we're going to be alternating from 5 to 1, leading up to the big reveal. Any Christmas movie that you want, any holiday movie, it doesn't even have to be holiday season. Not talking about like Valentine's Day, that movie, or like Halloween, but any December holiday movie that you would like is eligible. If it's not quote unquote a holiday movie, we can hear out a case for it and make a ruling. But I think we're on the same page here. Kylie, kick us off. Number 5, what do you have?
Okay, my number 5, and I know that it's getting heat online now. People have decided they don't love it as much, but I love Polar Express. I will literally die loving Polar Express. It's the best.
I don't understand the beyond just like the animation. What is it that people hate on this for? Like,
I don't know.
I know it's just like the do you want to hear Mo Bamba or Sicko Mode? Like that meme and like the little girl and just like the bad overall quality. It's not even like bad. It's just like aged poorly, I guess. Like,
yeah, for
it's
sure.
not like it was like bad at the time when it came out back in like 2005. So.
Oh, yeah, I think so. We were young. That's what, okay, it's on my list because we were old enough when it came out that we, like, could appreciate it and remember it, but we were young enough that it was still, like, so magic. And my family, I remember seeing it in the movie theaters, like, with my parents and my grandma, and, like, us leaving the movie, and we were all talking about it, and it was just so much fun to watch. I can quote the movie. I know all the words to the songs. It's like burned in
Believe by Josh Groban is an all-time banger.
A Christmas classic. It's on every Christmas playlist that I have.
I'm with you there. I mean, I can definitely respect that pick. However, this is, so as Kylie knows from our outline, I had a very explicit 1 through 4. And 5 was just an X mark. 5 is a game time decision for me because I'm just all over the place. I can't decide. I've got so many options to pick from. But so do I go the action route? Do I go like is it a Christmas movie? Do I go with Die Hard? Or do I go with Polar Express? Do I go with Elf? Do I go with these all-time classics that are like classics but just like not as high for me? Mm-hmm. Or do I
go with your heart.
Go with
your gut.
Do I go modern? I don't know if you've seen it yet, but Happiest Season on Hulu was great that came out this year, but is it ready after just less than a month of release? Is it ready to jump into the top 5 all time? I think I'm going to go way, way, way out in left field. I'm going to, out of nowhere, from Netflix is where I saw this. You probably haven't even heard of it. A Christmas Horror Story.
What?
Do you know what this is?
No.
This, oh my gosh. Sophomore year of college, me and my roommate laying in our beds in the afternoon, like I don't even know. It was like a Saturday, Sunday afternoon, nothing going on. Turned on Netflix, let's watch something. What do we find? This is like late December. We're there for bowl game. We're stuck on campus, nothing to do. A Christmas Horror Story comes across our Netflix. This movie, quick plot synopsis. Well, I guess not. I can't spoil anything. 4 stories.
I'm gonna watch.
It's 4 stories, and they're like each kind of like anthology stories of like just random horror events. Like there's one that there's one about like a school and people getting locked in the basement and being possessed.
Oh God.
And then there's one about like the murder of someone and the trauma that comes after that. There's another one about like a Santa at a mall that like shoots people up. There's another one about like the Krampus fighting against Santa Claus and like killing elves. It's like absolutely insane, and it sounds ridiculous, but it has an 83% on Rotten Tomatoes. Like this movie, like absolutely astounding. Like when I watched this, I was like, there's no way people actually enjoyed this. Like I enjoyed it, but like I didn't think critics would, you know? William Shatner is in it as well. So like that's just like another random little tidbit there. I don't know if it's still on Netflix. Weirdest experience I've ever had. Definitely doesn't feel like a Christmas movie, but I'm putting it on there just for fun.
I like it. I mean, hey, if it fits the Christmas movie rules, if it's, holiday season, we got some holiday music, we got some hijinks, we learn a lesson. It sounds like a Christmas movie.
Heck yes. I'm glad you agree.
I'm excited to watch it. Okay, my number 4. I gave a lot of thought to this. I was a little back and forth because I've learned that there are a lot of Christmas movies that I really love. But I think I have to go with my gut. And it's The Holiday. It's Nancy Meyers' Holiday. It's the one with Jude Law, Jack Black, Kate Winslet, Cameron Diaz. It's like your classic rom-com, super cheesy, wrap you up in a hug kind of movie. But it's so good. The Holiday made Jack Black a romantic leading man. Like, oh my God, it's a phenomenal movie. And you watch it and you just feel good. You just feel happy. I love it. And Jude Law, woof, what a guy.
I actually have not seen that movie. I know I'm a Nancy Meyers fan because of The Parent Trap.
Yes.
But I have not seen The Holiday. It definitely got some votes in our poll when I did the initial research, the initial crowdsourcing to see what movies should get their way into the bracket. That was one that got a lot of responses. So I respect that. I know you're in good company there with people appreciating that movie. So
yes, yeah. If you
I respect it.
Story, if you like love, you like rom-coms, it fits the rom-com mold, but it has that classic Nancy Meyers touch. So it just feels literally like a warm hug. It's so good. Okay, let's hear yours. Number 4.
Well, I am, speaking of the rom-com, I'm going to throw it into a rom-com dram and I am doing it, this year's Happiest Christmas from Hulu. Did you watch it? I didn't hear you earlier.
Yes, absolutely. So good. Although, Kristen Stewart, come on.
Sorry, what am I saying? I said Happiest Christmas. Happiest Season.
Yes.
That's the name of this movie.
It's okay. No, Kristen Stewart should have ended up with Aubrey Plaza.
Yes, that's 100% accurate. Riley and Abby belonged together. Harper sucked, even though she had her little redemption arc at the end. Harper was awful. Mackenzie Davis played her well, But
yes.
This movie, it's like I loved this movie because it was so enjoyable and so like happy and fun, but it also like packed a very strong emotional punch beyond just the fact that it was like a queer story at its core, which is something that, first of all, you don't necessarily see represented at all in film. I mean, to like an extent, but also like especially in like a holiday rom-com or something like that. Like that's a twist in and of itself. But then the fact that like, okay, most of these movies, it's like, if it's a rom-com, it's like, okay, happy couple, something comes between them, they split up, they get back together, happy ending. But like Clea Duvall, the director of this, who is Marjorie from Veep, if you watched Veep.
Amazing. What a character.
The way that she's like crafts this movie of like, okay, we're gonna happy couple, they're gonna have issues and split up, and it's gonna get dark and it's gonna get heavy, and they're gonna stay split up for an extended amount of time, like much longer than your typical rom-com. And then we're going to bring it back together with like the reveal, the reconciliation, the happy ending. Like she pushes it to its boundaries. And that's like another nice twist to like what you would expect from this genre or this like feel good, happy holiday movie. So I think that's what makes this really stand out. I love Mary Holland as Jane, also another Veep alum, but she's just like the weird third sister that like always wants in on everything and ends up becoming it. And speaking of Veep, shout out to the Jonah Ryan mall cop cameo. Like absolutely great scene there as well.
And I have to give a shout out to any Aquamarine fans. Raymond the lifeguard plays Liam in that movie.
I have not seen Aquamarine, but I respect your passion there.
Love it. He played a real gentleman. I loved that movie. It was so good. Okay.
Yeah, definitely check that out on Hulu if you're needing a new holiday movie.
If you have a heart and you are looking for some joy, try out Happiest Season. Okay, I'm gonna move on. Number 3 for me, Christmas classic. I gotta go with Elf, just for its like high rewatchability and its quotability. It's so easy. It's so easy to just like rattle off quotes from Elf. It's such a classic. Bye, buddy. Hope you find your dad. Everything about
Mr. Norwell.
So good. Will Ferrell committing to being an elf is so much fun. I love it so much.
Okay, this is one I'm torn because I tolerate Elf. I don't like it's good, but I'm not one of those people who like loves it, who it's a must. Like I'll watch it at some point during the season because of just like the fact that it's on ABC on Freeform like 3 times a day. But this is not one of my favorites. It's not on my list. Rebecca loves it. It's like an all-time classic for her. So
yes,
I'll usually have to watch it. It's just someone like I enjoy it. I like it, but I'm not obsessed with it like most Elf fans are.
I love though that its whole storyline is like taking the ridiculousness and like the magic or whatever of Christmas that people like Christmas itself. It's so ridiculous. These storylines, the magic behind it, it's so outlandish and out there. And I love that Elf takes that outlandishness and is like, well, what if we threw that in the middle of like New York City? How would a grown man who thinks he's an elf fare in one of the toughest cities in the world? It's so funny. And the music of Elf is so good. The writing, it's so quotable. Will Ferrell delivers an earnest and very funny elf. And then the music itself, like I hear Pennies from Heaven and I just think Elf and it makes me think of Christmas. And I just love it. It's so good.
I will say one of the things that has soured me on Elf a little bit is that I can't remember if it was I think it was 2 years ago. Rebecca and I at the DPAC in Durham, we saw Elf the musical, like the traveling production of it. Yeah. And my God, it was awful.
Oh, no.
It was the worst like stage performance I've ever seen. Not because of like the performance at all, but like just it had no business being a musical. The music was like very bad. And they changed the story, so it wasn't even like the same. I can't even remember, but it wasn't the same as the movie. And I had gotten that it was either like a birthday or an anniversary present for Rebecca. And it was just like, we went and we had fun because like we were together, but like it was like, oh my gosh, I spent money on this. It was a present. This was awful.
Rough. I hate that.
Woof.
It was woof. It's good how it was. Why change it? Although it would be hard to watch Elf in any other form that doesn't have Will Ferrell as Elf and blonde, cynical Zooey Deschanel as his main counterpart. The two of them are such a great duo.
Yeah, I mean, Will Ferrell is the main attraction to Elf, so I think taking him away is makes it harder. So I'm with you there.
I don't think you could cast anybody else in that particular role.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably – he's had some pretty iconic performances, and that's probably the most iconic, I would say.
Ooh.
That's another podcast, though.
That's a hot take, yeah. I'll marinate on that. I'll get back to you about that.
Okay. And for those listeners out there, check out our old podcast, Is Will Ferrell Actually Funny?, where we dive deep into every movie Will Ferrell has ever done and come up with an answer. That came out back when Holmes and Watson came out, so that was like early 2019, so you'll have to scroll for quite a while in our archives to find that one. But back to the matter at hand.
Yeah.
My number 3 is Four Christmases, a movie that is – have you seen this movie?
Yes, of course.
Okay, good, because I need to know if you're in the same camp as me. Four Christmases is highly underappreciated. A 2008 classic starring Vince Vaughn and Reese Witherspoon, both like rom-com enthusiasts, comedian enthusiasts, like at the height of their power in 2008. I mean, Reese has had a resurgence, but they were like top names in 2008.
Yeah.
This movie, 25% on Rotten Tomatoes, 47% audience score, like absolutely brutal. This basically, if you can't tell from the title, both of their parents are divorced. They have 4 different Christmases to go to. Hijinks ensue.
It's also just peak Vince Vaughn. It's Vince Vaughn in his Vince Vaughniest form.
Yes, 100. And I mean, Vince Vaughn, Reese Witherspoon, Robert Duvall, Jon Favreau, Mary Steenburgen, who is also in Happiest Season, Tim McGraw, Kristen Chenoweth, John Voight, Sissy Spacek. Like, what a cast. Like, all of these people. It's like the Avengers of a Christmas movie.
What a comparison. Yeah, I mean, I cannot deny that is a fun movie to watch.
It's like one of the ones that I'm a ride or die Four Christmases fan.
So do you have to watch Four Christmases every season? Is that one that you're just like, it's got to be on, or it doesn't feel like Christmas?
Yes, I would say as I was coming up with this list, I realized that I didn't necessarily have 5 that are like, I have a lot of Christmas movies that I'll watch like during the Christmas season, but I didn't have 5 that are like mandatory watches, but my top 3 are, and Four Christmases starts that.
Sure. Okay. I respect it.
Number 2, what do you have?
Number 2, I've got Home Alone. I've got our good old Kevin McAllister.
Enough said.
Yeah, for all the reasons we already mentioned. So good.
I stand by that 100%. And my number 2 is Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. Most people did not feel like this movie was great. I'm not most people. Whereas the first one was 60, what do we say, 66% and 80% for Rotten Tomatoes critic and audience. Yes. This one got a 33% on critics score. So the critics were not thrilled with the same hijinks at a greater scale. I was more than enthused. I was just absolute, I think that it's incredible. The double feature, the back-to-back Home Alone 1 and 2, watching things just continuously escalate. Like, everything about this movie is bigger and more insane, and I'm there for it.
I agree. Also, it's got Tim Curry, who is a phenomenal actor. I love him in everything he does. And also, you just like the premise of it is just so fun. I think at this point he's 10 years old. He's not 8, he's now 10. And he is navigating New York City all by himself. What is he, a superhero? I love that movie.
I'm glad we're on the same page. So what if you couldn't tell off the top, there's a certain movie in Kylie's Christmas canon that stands above the rest. And
yes,
I think we've arrived at that at number 1.
Yes. Okay. It is not Christmas for me or for my family unless we eventually watch Last Holiday. Honestly, sometimes I watch it 2 or 3 times a Christmas season. You can also watch it, when it's not Christmas season. It's a rom-com that doesn't exactly fit like your typical rom-com mold. It's one of those bucket list trope movies that also doesn't feel like a bucket list trope movie. It's Queen Latifah. It's LL Cool J. It's so much fun to watch. It's hijinks ensuing in every part. It follows Queen Latifah. If you haven't seen it, I'll just give a little bit of background. Queen Latifah, she lives in Louisiana, works at a department store, and she's crushing on LL Cool J, who is this smooth, amazing, sensitive, cool guy. You're in the opposite of toxic masculinity. He is just oozing greatness. And you've got Queen Latifah, and she's meek and a rule follower and crushing on him from afar. And all of a sudden, after a workplace accident, she receives a devastating diagnosis. So what does she do? She up and leaves her job, quits everything, takes all of her money out of the bank, liquidates every asset, and frickin' goes off on the adventure of a lifetime. And she changes people's lives. She does incredible, crazy things, snowboards out of control down the side of a mountain. She has also incredible physical comedy in this movie, but it doesn't feel slapstick at any point. It doesn't feel preachy. It doesn't feel lectury. The whole thing is about just kind of carpe diem and taking advantage of your life and just not letting any of it go to waste. And it's all set around Christmas and New Year's. And I love this movie. My sister and I, it came out in 2006. So I was 11 and my sister was 9, and we both saw it when it came out. And for our entire lives, it's been at the center of even our sister, every year we're have you watched it? Do you watch it? Have you watched it? Do you want to watch it together? When we play it, my dad, my brother, my mom, everybody gravitates to it. We just adore this movie. Queen Latifah is such an underrated actress. She's so much fun. I love her so much. If you have not watched it, put it on your list. It's corny and it's cheesy, but it feels like a hug. It feels so uplifting and joyful. Oh my God, I love it. I could talk about it forever.
Oh, hey, sorry. I just took Remy out for a walk. Are you still talking about Last Holiday?
This is now a Last Holiday podcast. I hope you're okay with that.
I'm here for it. I love the passion behind this. That's what led you to writing for us in the first place and ultimately getting on this podcast. So thank you, Last Holiday. I know you're upset with me because I haven't seen it, but I have 5 days between now and Christmas.
Put it on.
I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to find a way so that I can finally have this same shared love as you do, because my number 1 is Home Alone. And that's incredible, but it's kind of a bummer considering we just talked about it for an hour. So it's kind of anticlimactic. I feel like people knew that coming into this podcast, but Last Holiday, absolute curveball. And if you want more on that, go read it. Kylie wrote an incredible breakdown of why that is the best Christmas movie.
Thank you. Yes, it'll make you feel happy, like a better person, make you want to seize your life.
Well, I think that's the top 5, but I think you have a final question here before we wrap it up. Let's completely flip the script here.
After that joyful moment, I desperately want to ask, are there any Christmas or holiday movies that you cannot stand, that it's on and you want to walk into the other room?
That's a good question. That is a very good question. I'm not necessarily I don't know. I'm trying not to like make people angry because I feel like this is something that people are like very passionate about.
I know, it's opening up a can of worms.
I'm not a fan of the Santa Claus. That trilogy, those movies, I'm not it's not like turn it off, walk to the other room kind of like hatred, but
yeah.
I'm just like not really into those. I don't think they've aged particularly well.
No.
So I don't have any that are like make me outraged, but if I had to pick something, maybe that.
Okay, I respect that.
How about you?
I feel like this sounds bad, but I really don't like A Christmas Carol. I don't like it in any form. That's what.
Yeah, that's like, it's so old.
Yeah, like I get it. Like we're getting it's Scrooge and it goes to Christmas past and present and future and like the whole thing is like one giant like lesson in morality and being a better person. But like, oh my God, I'm done with it.
Yeah, I can totally see that. I'm not like, anyone who listens to this podcast knows that I'm not like very into like old movies, and that I guess like the original version of that is like a play or a book or an old film version of it, and then like obviously they've done like the Disney version, the animated version, the like all of these other like let it die, just like let it be. We don't need new versions of it every year.
We're done with it. It's fine. There's other things we can do.
A Christmas Carol, you're canceled.
Sorry for any Charles Dickens heads who are upset. I'm done.
Those Dickens heads, you know. Excellent term. I think that's a great name for the fandom.
Yes. Hopefully I got that right. That was off the top of my head. If it's not Charles,
I mean, we could shorten it to dickheads if you'd like.
I'm cool with that. Yeah, sure. Why not?
We just upset the Dickens hive, so we should probably go ahead and wrap this up before we get ourselves in more trouble.
All the academics, anyone who's smart, I'm so sorry.
All right. That is enough. This is a great podcast. Kylie, thank you for joining us. This was a blast.
Thank you for having me. This was so fun. I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, thank you to everyone out there who listened to hopefully get to know Kylie and check out her writing. And I'm hoping that we'll have some more of that in the future when she can fit us into her busy schedule. But until then, again, thank you for listening, and be sure to follow us on Twitter, on Instagram, TikTok, like us on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, wherever there is social media, we are there at Inside Film Room. And go ahead and follow Kylie too for all of her hot takes and just general life updates. Kai Shea, KYSHEA 11 on Twitter. She's a great follow. I'll admit it. She's good. Go follow her. And then while you're at it, why don't you go ahead and subscribe, rate, and review us wherever you get your podcasts. Apple, Stitcher, Spotify, Amazon, Google. Smash that subscribe button. And we will be back next week. Not next week. Mess that up. Take 2. We are off next week for the holidays. We will be back in 2021 with a doubleheader review of Soul and Wonder Woman 1984. And Johnny and I will be breaking down our top 5 movies of 2020. So we hope you all have a wonderful holiday season, and we'll see you next time.